Welcome to Karen's place, the space she uses to innovate. She'll make sure you're left thinking, I could do the same thing. Karen says, just do it. There ain't nothing to it. Just do it.
Welcome back for more from mixed media artist Karen Eastland. We're Larry and Louise.
And it's 2025. Karen's already 7 weeks into her creative journaling.
This week, she's really putting AI through its paces.
Yeah, she is.
This week's deep dive into Karen's journal is all about AI.
Specifically how she's using it.
Exactly.
To, fuel her already prolific creative output.
Okay, so let's jump into her week.
Starting with Monday.
Monday, February 10th, Karen's been experimenting with this new AI music program called DeepSeek.
Which she's nicknamed Zeke.
She decided to feed Zeke this long-form poem she wrote called Lake of Tears. Now, this poem already has a song based on it.
Right.
But she wanted to see what Zeke would come up with.
Yeah.
If she asked it to generate 3 separate songs from the same source material.
Okay.
So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. Zeke delivered the 3 songs. And Karen even went the extra mile.
Editing them,
removing words, refining lines.
Wow.
The whole shebang. She then ran them through Suno.
Another AI music program. And got back these 3 beautiful, polished grunge rock songs. Yeah.
But they were practically identical. She's listening to them back to back and realized it was the same melody, the same structure, just slightly different variations.
So it's like one of those laugh so you don't cry moments.
Definitely. Karen even jokingly referred to herself and Zeke as fools in her journal entry for that day. But ever the optimist, she saw it as a learning experience.
Oh, good.
And decided to move on to Plan B.
Which is?
Well, on Tuesday, February 11th, she took those AI-generated songs, stripped them down to their bare bones, and rewrote them entirely from scratch.
Wow.
No AI assistance this time. It took her almost the entire day, but she ended up with 3 distinct songs.
That's dedication.
Right.
It sounds like this experience really highlighted the limitations of AI, at least when it comes to replicating true artistic originality.
Absolutely. And it speaks to the importance of the human element in the creative process. AI can be a great tool.
For generating ideas.
Exploring different avenues. But it's still up to the artist.
To shape those raw materials.
Shape those raw materials into something truly unique and meaningful.
So what happened on Wednesday?
So did those rewritten songs pan out?
Yeah, did they work?
They did. On Wednesday, February 12th, Karen used Suno again, and this time she managed to create the perfect sound for her coming-of-age story. She achieved a distinct soundscape for each song, capturing the essence of her vision.
Nice.
And she even released the first of these songs titled This Little Bird. Have you had a chance to listen to it?
I have, and what struck me was the imagery in the lyrics.
Oh, yeah?
The way she describes the rain and this bird struggling to fly, it feels very symbolic, like a metaphor for the challenges of growing up.
Exactly. She even mentioned in her journal that this song, along with the other 2, is meant to reflect different stages of a young girl's journey.
Interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how the other 2 songs unfold that narrative.
Yeah.
It feels like Karen is really intentional about using AI as a tool to enhance her storytelling,
Right.
rather than letting it dictate the story itself.
Right.
And speaking of storytelling, she also made some progress on a few other projects this week. On Thursday, February 13th, she worked on the 4th episode of her 12-week revision project.
It seems like she never stops.
Well, she did mention it was almost a day off.
Almost.
But she did manage to release the first song from her songs for the Goddess collection called Whispers in the Mist.
Oh, I love that one. It was such a mystical, ethereal vibe.
And then on Friday, February 14th, she used Ideogram to finalize all the visuals for her 12-part series from then to now. It looks like she's planning to release those episodes every other week,
Okay.
alternating with releases from the songs for the Goddess collection.
That's a pretty smart release strategy. It keeps her audience engaged and creates a sense of anticipation for what's coming next.
It does. Now, before we move on, I think it's worth digging a little deeper into some of these AI programs Karen's been using. She's got quite the toolkit, doesn't she?
She does.
In addition to DeepSeek and Suno for music, she uses Night Cafe for generating imagery, and Ideogram seems to be her go-to for creating album covers. She's mentioned liking its accuracy with text generation, which is important for conveying the right message visually.
Right.
But she's also run into some roadblock with certain programs. Remember Kling AI, which she was using for music videos?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was getting increasingly frustrated with it.
It seems like it wasn't giving her the level of control she wanted.
And she felt it wasn't keeping up with her creative vision.
Exactly. So she decided to ditch it.
Yeah.
She's constantly evaluating and refining her toolkit.
Which is impressive.
Speaking of refining her toolkit, she's also been trying out Google Labs, but found it to be a bit inconsistent with text generation. She actually prefers ImageFX for its more realistic imagery.
Interesting.
And she's still on the wait list for Google Video Effects.
It's interesting how she's not afraid to experiment and move on from tools that aren't serving her needs. She's clearly very discerning about which AI program she incorporates into her workflow.
It's like she's approaching AI with a sense of playful curiosity, but also a critical eye.
Yeah.
She's not just blindly adopting every new technology that comes along. She's figuring out what works for her and her art.
And that, I think, is a really important point.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype surrounding AI, but it's crucial to remember that it's ultimately a tool.
Right.
And just like any tool, it has its strengths and weaknesses.
Right. And the key is to understand those strengths and weaknesses and use them to your advantage. Karen's doing a great job of that.
Yeah.
She's not letting AI dictate her creative vision. She's using it to enhance and expand it.
Exactly.
So to wrap up this part of our deep dive, we've seen Karen navigate some unexpected challenges and triumphs with AI this week. From those nearly identical grunge rock songs to the evocative lyrics of This Little Bird, it's clear that she's not afraid to experiment and push the boundaries of what's possible with these new tools.
And in doing so, she's providing us with a fascinating glimpse into the evolving relationship between human creativity and artificial intelligence.
But before we go any further, I think it's time for a quick recap of what we've covered so far.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, let's do a quick review. This week, we dove into Karen's journal and saw her wrestle with an AI music program that gave her 3 versions of the same song.
It's like the AI had its own version of writer's block and just kept hitting the copy-paste button.
Exactly. And yet she didn't let that setback discourage her. Instead, she rolled up her sleeves and rewrote those songs from scratch, demonstrating her commitment to her artistic vision.
And that ultimately led to the successful release of This Little Bird, a song with such powerful imagery that it seems to speak to a larger theme of overcoming challenges.
Just like those AI-generated songs were just a stepping stone away for Karen to work through some initial ideas before arriving at her true creative expression.
That's a great point. It makes you wonder if sometimes those failures or unexpected roadblocks can actually lead us to something even better than we initially imagined.
I think Karen would agree with that. She even called it a happy accident in her journal.
She seems to have such a positive outlook on her creative process, embracing both the highs and the lows.
Absolutely, and that attitude really shines through in her work. Now, earlier we were talking about Karen's evolving AI toolkit. Let's focus on 2 programs in particular. Kling AI, which she abandoned, and AIinArt, which seems to have become her new favorite.
Why do you think she made that switch?
Well, with Kling AI, she was running into limitations with its functionality and creative control. It sounds like she felt constrained by the program's capabilities and wanted something that would give her more freedom to express her vision.
That makes sense. It's like trying to paint a masterpiece with a child's set of watercolors. The tools just aren't there to achieve the desired level of detail and nuance.
And that's where AIinArt comes in. It seems to offer her that level of precision and control, especially when it comes to creating album covers. She specifically mentioned appreciating its accuracy with text generation, which is crucial for conveying the right message visually.
Right, for Karen, the visual elements are just as important as the music itself. It's all part of creating a complete and immersive artistic experience.
And in that sense, AIinArt seems to be the perfect tool for her. It allows her to seamlessly blend text and imagery, creating album covers that are both visually striking and thematically resonant with her music.
It's almost like she's found a way to translate her visual imagination directly into the digital realm.
I wonder if her experience with Kling AI actually helped her appreciate AIinArt even more. By experiencing those limitations firsthand, she was able to identify exactly what she needed in a tool to truly unlock her creative potential.
That's a great observation. Sometimes those frustrating experiences can be valuable learning opportunities, guiding us toward tools and processes that better align with our artistic goals.
And in a way, Karen's journey with these AI programs mirrors a larger trend we're seeing in the creative world. As AI becomes more sophisticated and accessible, artists are increasingly curating their own personalized toolkits, selecting the best instrument for each creative task.
It's like building a custom set of brushes for a painter or a collection of handcrafted instruments for a musician.
Exactly. And just like those traditional tools, these AI programs are extensions of the artist's imagination, helping them to shape their ideas and bring their vision to life in new and exciting ways.
Now, speaking of the larger trend of AI in the creative world, it raises some interesting questions about the future of art. How do you think AI will continue to shape the way artists create and express themselves?
That's a question that's been on my mind as well. It's clear that AI is already having a significant impact, and its influence is only going to grow in the year to come.
Do you think it will eventually replace human artists altogether?
I don't think so, at least not entirely. I believe AI will continue to evolve as a powerful tool for artists, but it's important to remember that it's still just a tool. The creativity, the emotion, the human touch, those are things that AI can't replicate.
I agree. AI can generate ideas, it can process information, it can even create art that's technically proficient, but it lacks that spark of human ingenuity, that ability to tap into the depths of human experience and emotion.
It's like the difference between a perfectly crafted replica of a famous painting and the original masterpiece. The replica may be technically flawless, but it's missing the soul, the energy, the artist's unique fingerprint.
Right, and I think that's what will continue to distinguish human art from AI-generated art. Even as AI becomes more sophisticated, it will still be the human artist who brings the heart and soul to the work.
It's the artist who imbues the creation with meaning and connects it to the broader human experience.
And that's a connection that audiences will continue to crave, regardless of how advanced technology becomes. We're drawn to art because it reflects something back at us, something about ourselves, about our world, about the human condition.
And that reflection can only come from another human being who has lived, loved, lost, and experienced the full spectrum of human emotions.
Exactly, and that's why I believe human artists will always have a place in the world, even alongside AI. In fact, I think AI could actually enhance human creativity in ways we can't even imagine yet. By taking over some of the more technical aspects of creation, AI could free up artists to focus on the things that make their work truly unique and meaningful.
It's like having a studio assistant who can handle all the tedious tasks, allowing the artist to pour all their energy and passion into the creative process itself.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And speaking of Karen's creative process, let's circle back to her other projects that are in the works.
You mean like The Adventures of Millie and Sandra and the Josephine Marlin series?
Yes. Remember how she was wrapping up that 5-season saga of The Adventures of Millie and Sandra and preparing it for publication as an ebook and paperback?
And she's also revisiting her Josephine Marlin series, which seems to be a real cornerstone of her writing universe.
I'm curious about those spin-off series, Sin Eater and Josephine Marlin Origins. It's like she's building her own interconnected literary world, similar to a Marvel or DC universe, but with a distinctly Karen Eastland flavor.
It's impressive how she manages to juggle all these different projects and creative pursuits. She's clearly a master of multitasking.
And her dedication to her craft is evident in everything she does, from her meticulous editing process to her strategic release schedule for her music.
She is a true inspiration for any aspiring artist, demonstrating what's possible with hard work, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace new technologies and creative approaches.
And speaking of inspiration, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive and leave our listeners with a final, thought-provoking question to ponder. So we've spent this deep dive exploring Karen's week, watching her navigate the exciting and sometimes frustrating world of AI-assisted creation.
It's been quite a journey. We saw her grapple with AI's limitations when those grunge rock songs turned out to be triplets. Yet we also witnessed her harness the power of AI to create stunning visuals and unique soundscapes for her music.
And through it all, what struck me most is Karen's unwavering commitment to her artistic vision.
She's not letting AI dictate her work. She's using it as a tool to enhance and expand her creative potential.
Which brings us to an important question for you, our listener. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, how do you see it impacting your own creative journey?
Whether you're a writer, a musician, a painter, or simply someone who enjoys expressing yourself creatively, it's worth considering how AI might fit into your own creative process.
Would you embrace it as a collaborator, much like Karen has? Or would you approach it with caution wary of its potential influence?
It's a question with no easy answers, but it's one that we all need to start thinking about.
Because AI is here to stay. And it's up to us to decide how we want to engage with it, not just as consumers, but as creators.
For some, AI might open up new avenues for expression, providing tools and inspiration that were previously inaccessible.
For others, it might pose ethical dilemmas, challenging our notions of originality and artistic ownership.
But one thing is for sure, AI is going to continue to blur the lines between human and machine, forcing us to re-examine what it means to be a creator in the digital age.
And Karen's journey this week provides a valuable case study. showing us both the possibilities and the potential pitfalls of integrating AI into our creative workflows.
Her experience reminds us that while AI can be a powerful tool, it's still just a tool. It's up to us, the human artists, to wield it with intention, discernment, and a commitment to our own unique creative vision.
So as you go forth on your own creative journey, remember to stay curious, stay open to new possibilities, but most importantly, stay true to your own artistic voice.
And if you find yourself facing challenges or setbacks along the way, remember Karen's example. Embrace those happy accidents, learn from your mistakes, and never stop exploring.
We hope this deep dive into Karen Eastland's creative world has inspired you to think differently about the role of AI in art and in your own life.
Thank you for joining us, and until next time, keep creating. 68.